call him creator, the source of all things, yeah. Some call him conqueror, 'cause he always wins. He is the answer, 'cause he knows all things. Jesus came to die so that I live his life. He stood against the grave for my sins and reigned. Let all the earth proclaim, let all creation bow, let every heart and mind, tongue and tribe proclaim, God you reign, yeah. Jesus reigns, he rose again. Oh, Jesus reigns. Oh, yes you reign, you reign, you reign, yes you do. Jesus, you live in the highest place. I worship you, yeah. You made my life, God, you made a way. Your words will deliver. It straightens my way. He called me his friend. Oh, and that gave me peace. Father, your love, your love. Oh, Father, your love. Jesus came to die so that I live his life. He stood against the grave for my sins and reigned. Let all the earth, let all the earth, let every mind and heart and tongue, hey, yeah, hallelujah. You are
Wow. Hello. Welcome to another episode of a Walk with God show. And today we were expecting the wonderful hostess, Miranda, but then I'm stepping in for her because she has to attend to an assignment. But regardless, it's going to be an awesome time. I want you to share the link. Share the link, invite your family, your friends, your uncles, your aunties, your enemies, your frenemies, your grandparents, everyone, invite them because this special event, this is actually a special event, and being the first month of the year, we want to set some goals. We want to know certain specific things that will make us successful for a fruitful 2023. One thing I know is that every year we have New Year resolutions and we are very hopeful. But then the year goes to an end, and many of us are not able to achieve what we ought to achieve. So, yes, just invite someone to be a blessing to them. Be an evangelist right now. Do the work of God and share the link. Share the link. You are doing good. God richly bless you. Today, I have an awesome guest. He is, very famous. He's a doctor, very learned, very educated, very anointed. Some of the scientists and the doctors, they don't care about God. But this doctor that we have and we are hosting today, he be the special guest. He's very familiar with this platform. He hosts also programs here. FBN is, connections of different biblical and godly programs that inspires, that uplift, and that helps. So it's not our own Dr. Nana Harrison. Dr. Nana Harrison, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. And thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Wow. So let me ask you this, because maybe it might be the first time someone is watching. So, who is Dr. Nana Harrison, and what is your doctorate in?
Okay. I mean, well, I'm just um, what should I even say? Okay, let's start from who I am. Well, I'm
Mm,
a Christian, born
mm,
again, Bible believing, um, sometimes preacher,
wow.
married to about one beautiful wife. I am a professor of marketing currently. And like I said, so by saying that kind of gives an idea what my doctorate is in. So yeah,
Wow.
more, I'm a business person. Yeah, so more of marketing related stuff.
So I guess one thing I've realized that everyone is complaining about stock market and people crashing and businesses and all of that. I'm hoping that there is someone here who's going to be watching us today who is interested in marketing. So yes, it's been a blessing, and I know most of us we see the world through the lens of our experience. So in your subjections and all of the submissions, I believe that marketing will come in because I want to start my own business firm, and I'm ready to write the goals down. So welcome once again, and it's just a blessing and a pleasure to have you. Beloved, share the link. I'm on Facebook right now. We only have 4 people. No, we are not doing well. Share the link. Share the link. It's a common phrase that we hear. Share the link. If you don't share, you are not doing well. So yes, I want many people to be a blessing. Uh, okay, so there is a lady on the Facebook. The name is Renee Harrison, and the way she's typing, Doctor, are you related to her?
Oh yes, that's my wife.
Oh, because I think when you said wife, she started typing like that. Okay, okay, okay. Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. So hello, hello, and I'm also going to Doctor Wife Renee Harrison. It's awesome to have you. I think we have also Mame also watching. Share the link. Yes, many people are watching, and it's going to be a blessing. Oh, so someone said the husband of a beautiful wife of God. They said when you were giving your introduction, you didn't really go deeper. You were supposed to say you are a husband of a beautiful woman of God. Mercy.
Wow.
Wow, it's
You
awesome having you.
are
Yes, please
telling
share
me
the
that,
link.
yeah.
Oh yes, wow. I can relate. But I'll get there. Amen. So I want us
Yeah.
to zoom right into it. We're not gonna waste time. 2023 is a new year, and one thing I know that every new year we have new year resolution. We are setting goals, but guess what? The year comes to an end, and not all of us are able to achieve it. But we enter the year with so much optimism. This year I will buy cars. This year I will do this. This year I will build a company. This year, but the year comes to an end, and we are not able to. And one of the common problems is we don't even know how to set our goals. We don't know how to set our goals. And sometimes, we just get confused. We get mixed up in the whole lot of chaos. So let me introduce you. The topic for today is establishing our goals for 2023. We don't want 2023 to be like every other year where we got messed up in the whole chaotic and the whole things going on around. So today I we will be feeding on your knowledge and your experience. And my first question to you is, how do you define goal setting, and is it even important to set a goal? What is goal setting? How would you define it, in your experience? Because you are doctors, we're doctor there. We know that you have, you have mastered it. So yes, how would you define goal setting? And is it even important to set goals, Dr. Harrison?
Yes, great question, and happy New Year to Walk with God fans. I think this year I haven't been on Walk with God yet, so happy New Year to all of you.
Wow.
It's a beautiful year, and we are looking forward to new and amazing things that God is going to do with us and through us and for us this year. Now, when it comes to goals, let me this year I'm trying to not define or go too much into theory, but a lot more being more practical. So imagine that anybody here decides to travel somewhere. You have an impending trip. Maybe you decided, well, I'm going for a vacation. Um, you live in New York and you want to go to Florida. Now, the destination is there. That is where you want to get to. All right. And so that itself is a form of goal. So, where you want to get to, that destination you're looking forward to, is a goal. But then, even with that destination, you can still break it down into smaller destinations. And so, your first point of call, where am I going to fly from? How will I get to the airport? Am I going to pick an Uber or bus? What time am I leaving home? So you see that you set these small um, destinations or small things, small tasks ahead of you to get to that big goal. And that is how typically when we talk about goal setting is. A lot of times when we talk about goals, we only emphasize on the umbrella things, the big thing that I'm looking forward to. Like you're saying, like, yeah, this year I'm going to build a company, I'm going to do this, I'm going to save this, I'm going to do this. And those are umbrella things. And because our idea of what a goal is just limited to those big things, we end up not achieving them because we don't set the smaller ones. We don't bring those smaller things that will become the roadmap to take us to that bigger destination. Because a journey of 1,000 miles will begin with a step. So if you are planning that you are going to go 1,000 miles, that is a big thing you want to do. But how are you going to get there? So there should be those small or baby steps that you are going to take to get you there. And so that is what I would say about the whole idea of goal setting, making sure that you achieve your big target by guiding yourself with smaller targets. So smaller targets that are going to propel you or that are going to gradually move you to achieve the big target that you have ahead of you. That's goal setting, in my opinion.
Wow, that was really helpful. That was really knowledgeable. Thank you once again. And I just want to go straight into the second question. Is it even important? Like, is it really important to set goals? Maybe it looks bigger, but then I can still achieve a bigger picture by not breaking it. Is it even important to set goals and even checkpoints and little subsets, as you were saying? Is it even important? Or is there like something I need to know? Because I believe someone watching might think, oh, I can achieve bigger things. I don't really need to, set anything. Anything I can just convince my mind I'll do it. So is it even important to set goals?
Yes, it is absolutely important. Now, the thing is, if you don't know your destination, I always say this, if you don't know your destination, everywhere you reach would be your destination. So if you don't know where you are going, when you reach anywhere, you have reached. And so, what will make you know that you have reached where you want to go is the goal that you had. So, if you like in the same example of moving from New York to Florida, if you don't know what Florida is, where it is, how do you even know that you have reached Florida? So, there should be something about the place that would tell you that indeed I've gotten to my destination. And the goal is very important. And then also, when you, um, going back to what I said earlier, those little steps can only be guided based on the goal. So, for example, if you were a student, you started school, and then you don't really have any goals for yourself, you begin to pick and study anything. It's like today you see someone studying marketing. Oh, yeah, that course might be very exciting. Then you go and take it. The next moment, I think I like a lot of music. Let me join this music class. The next time we
Wow.
will see you doing history. You'll be all over the place. So if you don't have a goal, it's like you become everything. You
Mm.
spread yourself too broadly, and that's also not helpful. So at the end of the day, you don't really have value because we can't really say that this is who this person is. Like, what are you living for? There is nothing
Mm.
like that because you are trying to be any and everything to everybody and in every situation. And that is very bad. It's a waste of time, waste of resources, waste of emotions, and it will only end in regrets.
Wow, that was really deep. And one thing that really hit me hard was that if you don't set your personal goals, you might be a character in someone else's goal. Someone will set their goals and make you a character of it because you don't know what you want. So they will convince you to be a character in their own planning. That was really deep. That was really, really deep. Thank you so much. I'm going back to the audience. Please share the link. Someone said, if you don't share, you are not doing well. Invite someone to be a blessing to them. Because I think this is something that is very important. We need to know. We have to approach 2023 differently. Mame Ursula said, if you don't know where you are going, everywhere you reach can be a destination. You'll be confused. And that is definitely true. Sometimes you get to a place like, oh, I'm okay. Then you realize that maybe you're not okay, and you see someone else going higher than you. Then you think, okay, you know what? Maybe I can achieve this. Then you realize that, okay, so this is not for me. Then you get lost, in this whole chaotic world. So that is really good. Someone said, God help us to stay focused. Yes, God will definitely help us to stay focused. Now let me go back to Doctor again. Dr. Harrison, I have another question for you. What do we need? I know you talked about the whole, setting the limits, the checkpoints, and those little tasks and all that. But then what do we need in order to set effective goals? What do we really need? Do we need certain things? Are there certain steps? Are there certain things that we need to set effective goals?
Great. Yes, definitely. And the thing about goal setting is a lot of times when I listen to people talk about goals, and we do teach this. I think just last week in my principles class, I was talking about setting marketing goals and objectives. And most of the time, we'll talk about the SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, um, realistic, time bound. Yes, those are more or less the rule of thumb or the go-to when we talk about goal setting. But something that is very important that I think precedes going through the whole smart goal process is a personal SWOT analysis. So SWOT analysis is SWOT: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so you as a person, you have to conduct a personal SWOT analysis. We teach this to businesses and business people, but you can do that for yourself as a person. And so you have to sit down and know, what are your strengths? What are the things that I'm good at? What are the things that I can easily do, and I'll still feel fulfilled that I have done these? Like, what are the things that come so easily to me? What are the things that everybody praises me for? Like, these are things that will help you to know that you have a strength in this. Like, for example, maybe even in high school, you realize that you loved certain classes. Is it if you remove the teacher factor, if whoever was teaching it, when you remove that factor out, and you said that your favorite teacher was teaching all the classes, which of them would you have enjoyed the most? So you know what you are good at. Is it numbers? Is it reading? Is it speaking? Is it memorizing? Whatever. So you know you have to know your own personal strengths, and then from knowing your personal strengths, you also know your weaknesses. So it's not enough to know that I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I'm good at that. but you also have to ask yourself, what are the things that I'm not so good at? And then kind of put those things also down and know that, well, when it comes to maybe speaking, I'm not that good. When it comes to maybe science, I'm not that good. When it comes to maybe business or bookkeeping, I'm not that good. You have to be honest with yourself,
Mm.
because sometimes we can tend to be unrealistic and we tend to deceive ourselves. When you ask people to think or do that introspective analysis, chances are the very optimistic person will only look at the positive things about them. The pessimist will only look at the things that they cannot do well. But we need that balance. You need to be able to know what you are made of, what you are so good at, and what you are not good at. And once you know these, then you can move on to, now these are things, they are things within your control, things that you have control over. They are about you, internal. And then you look at the external factors too, in the broader environment. What are some opportunities in there?
Mm.
Those opportunities, how do they match with your strengths? How can you capitalize on your strengths to take advantage of some of the opportunities out there right now? So you look at everything that is going on, you scan the environment, and that's also a whole new analysis of its own. You look at the political regime, the legal, the social, economic factors. Consider a holistic view. You don't just look at things through like a myopic lens. Brother,
Mm.
when we started, you mentioned something about the stock market crashing and all of that. What is making these things happen? You need to know what is going on in terms of
Mm.
technology. What are the new advancements? And how do these things align with my strengths? In essence, these strengths that I have, how will I be able to seize an opportunity like this? And then you also think about the threats. What are the bad things in the environment that you should be mindful of? We are in an economic crisis. Recession is upon us, and it's a threat. It's something that no one person can control. I mean, it's an accumulation of years of decisions and things that have landed us where we are now. And so your strength cannot just control those, but you can take advantage. So it's a threat. How can your strengths help you to take advantage of those threats in the broader
Mm.
environment? So you need to do this evaluation first before you kind of make those big decisions on what you want to do. So before you take a minute and say that, well, I want to go into, let's say, cybersecurity, you need to
Mm.
ask yourself, what is happening? What are my strengths? Am I good at cybersecurity? Am I good at tech? Am I good with basic coding? Is this something I think I can do? And then you ask yourself again, in terms of tools, technology, what are the new things that are coming up? And then you should be able to project into the future, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, what is going to happen? What is the outlook going to be like? So
Mm.
you need to have a very holistic picture of how things are going. Now there are a lot of AI tools. If anybody is familiar with things like OpenAI's ChatGPT and GPT-3 and those kind of things, Writer, there are so many AI tools doing so many things. So the last time, just this week, I was telling my students, look, if you're somebody who probably in the last 5 years sat down and said, I want to be the best surgeon that ever lived. I mean, it's a good goal, but right now there are robots that are being programmed to do surgery.
Surgery.
So the very thing that you thought that, well, I mean, there's just who I'm be like, you may realize that in the next maybe 15 years, you can be rendered obsolete
Mm.
because there is a new technology that is more efficient than you as a human being. And so how do you position yourself based on all of these factors? And so if you don't consider all these factors, then the goal setting itself it doesn't have any strong foundation. And this is the reason why a lot of us set goals that we are not able to achieve, because we just set up yeah, it's a new year, everybody's resolving, so let me also resolve this year I want to build a company. Meanwhile, you are not looking at the bigger economy. What is going on? What would it take to set up a business? Even in this recession, what businesses will be recession proof? Like, and all of that. If you don't consider those things and it's just about the things that I like and I love and I want to do this and I want to do that, I mean, you end up setting those goals, but you realize that you cannot achieve them no matter how hard you work at them, because you did not take inventory of everything that is happening. So, I mean, it's crucial as goal setting is. When God was talking to Habakkuk, he says that write the vision and make it plain. What does the make it plain mean? That is outline the steps. How are you going to achieve this? And so before you can put those things down, you need to know what is happening. How are you going to capitalize on this? What is the outlook? And then you can now personally decide, okay, then I want to do this. Also, as believers, we don't ever remove the role that God plays in it. And so, although you are doing all of these things, the God factor, when I'm discussing these things, I hold the God factor constant, because as Christians, everything that we do, God is a constant in it. So, you are not doing any of these things independent of God's guidance. But even with God's guidance, you need to be able to do this assessment and then be able to come up with the goals and based on which you can run. So even the apostles, none of them, they were not just apostles out of the blue. People were handling different situations. When Jesus called the 12, you notice that Judas was in charge of the treasury. Why not Peter? Peter was too reckless to keep money. So everybody had their own role and it's based on your strengths. But Peter was a leader, a natural leader. And so Peter becomes the leader of the apostles. And even in being apostles, Paul was to the Gentiles, Peter was to the Jews. That was everybody's strength. Because if you sent Peter to the Gentiles, he will go and condemn all of them. And he will not end up saving any. And so you need somebody who can connect with the Gentiles and be able to bring them. So we don't do things out of, you just saw that somebody was doing something, so you too, you want to do something. No, we don't do it like that.
Wow, that is definitely very in depth. Thank you so much, Doctor. But I have a question. Is there a difference between goal and a purpose, or is the same thing? How, or they both collide, or they both connive, or they both work together? Is there like a distinct difference between goals and the purpose in life?
Great. Technically, when we want to look at those two words, they are different, but they are also the same. I'll start from how are they the same? They are the same in that a lot of times I hear many people talk about, oh, living a life of purpose, living a life of purpose. I'm trying to live my purpose. And I ask them, do you really know your purpose? Because I feel like purpose is, it is only God who knows the purpose. Because by purpose, you are trying to answer the question, why do I exist?
Exist. Wow.
And I don't think any creation can adequately answer that question. The creator is the one that can answer that question. He has the big picture, and everybody is playing a part. So the why, which is the big picture, is with him. So I tend not to kind of lean too much towards into that. However, they also overlap in that a lot of times when people are talking about my purpose, they are talking about goals. They are talking about the broader goals that they feel like God has laid on their heart, that this is what I want to do. And they classify that as purpose. But to me, this is like a personal opinion. It's like when people are, I'm a personal coach, I teach people how to identify their purpose. I'm like, just tell them, you teach them how to set goals that align with their personality. So based on who God has made you, you can identify the direction that God, like you think that God is leading you towards. But you cannot say for sure that any human being, this one, I can throw a challenge out there. Apart from Jesus Christ, who, when he was coming, he knew that he was coming to die so that we will be saved. No human being knows
mm,
the exact reason why he was born.
mm.
I mean, we can have a sense of direction, which is goal driven. You can live a goal driven, which we call purpose driven life. So that's where I say the overlap is.
Both of
So
them.
then a
Mm.
lot of times the things that we call purpose is actually goals because you have identified. If you cannot identify it, then it's not yours to control. And I feel calling it purpose is a bit too big and it's something that I will leave for God. Not even John the Baptist knew his purpose
Mm.
because if John knew, he wouldn't have asked his disciples to go and ask Jesus when he was
Accent.
in prison that
Mm.
are you the one we are expecting or should we wait for another? It tells you clearly that even though he himself stood there and said that he had been sent to come and talk about the light, the true light, and all
Mm.
of that, the very person that he himself baptized, he still ended up sending that they should go and ask, are you really the person we are expecting, or we should wait for another? It tells you that even John did not really know his exact role to play. And so even he got it wrong. So um yeah, let's not confuse ourselves so much with the whole issue of purpose. I believe that is for God. He created all things, and that is a mystery for God to unfold. There is nobody who walked with God and God told him that this is exactly where I'm sending you.
Mm.
That would be purpose. He's When he called Abraham, hey, get thee out of your father's house and your kindred to a land which I will show you.
Mm.
When he was calling the Israelites, I'm taking you to the promised land, he did not emphatically tell them that I'm taking you to this particular place. Then you would know that, oh, this is the purpose. And even then, if it is that place, why is he sending you to that place? Even with Abraham, why did God ask him that, get out of your father's kindred and I'm taking you to that place? And he took him to that place and all of those things that happened. What exactly was it about? So nobody knew the big picture but God. When God was asking Abraham, go and sacrifice Isaac, Abraham was just thinking, well, he gave. So if even I sacrifice him, he has the power to raise him up. Not necessarily thinking that God was trying to teach a lesson of trying to
Mm.
show us Christ in Isaac. So as much as we can deceive ourselves that I know my purpose, as much as I want to think, even at my level, that, oh, I know my purpose, it will be deceptive. But I know I
Mm.
have an idea. I think I have an idea where God is leading me, and that is through my goals. But the purpose there, that one I feel it's reserved for God. Thank you.
Wow. That is definitely deep. I don't think anyone else could have answered this perfectly. Now I endorse the doctor. I'm making it doctor. God richly bless you for your wisdom. Now let's go deeper because you kept bringing in the God factor. So I'm going to push you a little deeper. We believe that we are walking on this earth. So this is a physical earth. At the same time, we are Christians. Do we always have to seek for approval before we take any action, especially with goals? Okay, I want to marry. I want to have a business. I want to. Do we always have to wait? Say, Nyame will talk to us, my servant. Go and start planning. Like as Christians, where does the God factor come in? You know, where? Or is it even important? Because this is the physical. This is not spiritual realm. This is physical realm. Do we always, have to get approval? Wait till God says go before we go? How do we bring that into goal setting? Do we always have to sit there and wait till God speaks? Can we even hear God when He speaks? So as Christians, how do we factor the God factor into this, goal setting? So maybe my goal is to get married. So I have to wait. And God over, this is the lady, 6 feet tall, slim. Then, like, because most people confuse themselves when the God factor comes in, especially setting of goals. Because one thing I've realized, the unbelievers don't bring the God factor, and most of them are successful. So then, as Christians, why? How do we factor in the God factor? Well, this is very critical, but then we know that God will use you to help us. So please help us. And I know my audience are also ready to listen. So, yes, please help us. How do we put the God factor in goal setting? Thank you.
Very beautiful question. And honestly, I think there's one of the big things worrying the body of Christ.
Mm,
It's like God has to speak to me. You have to hear. Does God speak? He does.
mm,
Does He speak to us every day? He does. He leads us.
mm,
But maybe not in the way we expect Him to.
mm,
Because when Elijah was going to meet God on the mountain, there was an
mm,
earthquake. He wasn't in it. There was fire. All of those things. He wasn't in it. But he came as a still small voice.
mm,
And that still small voice speaks to us every day. We just need to be able to listen to where he's leading us. And so the Bible will talk about those who are led by the Spirit, those who are led by the Spirit, those who are led by the Spirit. Being led by the Spirit is not a one-day event.
wow.
So, like, I'm just going to do this. Now, God, I need you to lead me. When you do that, you miss the whole point,
Mm,
because everything you do, they all aggregate into that big picture. So the whole idea of the big picture started years ago when you were, let's say, like, let's use the example of marriage that you talked about. The whole idea of getting married is not about, okay, now I feel like, okay, now I need somebody.
mm,
But so far, how has God revealed himself to you in marriage? What do you know? What has God taught you concerning marriage? Because it is those things that will all aggregate and help you to make the decision that is ahead. And so when you are making that decision, is it still God who is leading you? Exactly. Why? Because he has taught you bits and pieces over the years, and that has formed your worldview, based on which you are going to choose a woman that you bring to him, that God, based on how I have worked with you and how you have revealed marriage to me, I believe this is the person that can help to make this life. I mean, there are particular instances where maybe you can be lucky, and that if God disapproves, he will tell you that emphatically, no, 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 this is not the one. But honestly, that will be like maybe 0.1% of believers will have that encounter. Um, for the majority, you will not have that encounter. And so, what role specifically does God play in our day-to-day activities? One of my favorite scriptures, it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight." So you when you listen to it well, He says, "In all your ways," not in some ways. So it's not only for big decisions. It's in the little things, like waking up in the morning and speaking to him, asking him to order your steps the whole day, not allow you to go where he doesn't want you to go. Like
mm,
things like that, all your ways. Like when you are going to work and you are committing your day's work into his hands, when you are committing your colleagues and whatever happens there into God's hands, it is part of all your ways. So when you do these, now when you are setting goals, like God, I always say that he doesn't want to be treated the way we treat him. God doesn't want to be God. He wants to be in a relationship with us. So he doesn't want to be that figure that you only go to in terms of need or when you have to make some big things. But he wants to be the very person who is with you in your daily walk, in simple things like your decision to even drink water. Like he wants to be with you at that level. And so if you are with him or if he's with you at that level, then the things you are going to desire would be godly, so to speak. So if you're a believer, what are the things that you are going to be interested in? What are the things, like the things that will burden you, for which you think that, oh, this is my purpose? They are things that the Holy Spirit will lay on your heart because you are walking with him. So you are working with God and God burdens you. So, like, for example, the Bible says that the Spirit bears witness with my spirit that we are children of God. And so that witness must come in. It's not like a 31st night agenda. You go to church and pray for God for this year. And then you think that because you prayed that prayer on 31st, first you can sit down and be so over ambitious and think of all the great things you think you can do because you prayed 31st. And then the rest of the year, like you just go about, like that's not how we go about it. And so a lot of us, we wait for voices we will never hear because the voice you are waiting to hear has been speaking to you since you were born again. From the day you gave your life to Christ, he started speaking to us. And if only we had been listening and always committing our ways to him, then we wouldn't need to worry about, hey, this thing, did I pray about it? If you have a good relationship with God, everything you do, like he shows up, he's interested in it. And if it's not going to work out, like Dr. Miles Monroe said something while he was alive. He said that prayer is our way of giving the heavens authority to work on our behalf. So without us offering that prayer and asking God to take over, he would watch, he will look on and watch. So when we give him the heavens that permission, they take the wheel and then they move it. That's why when Jesus prays, he ends it with, yet not my will, but your will be done. And so when we always have that mentality, it will be difficult for us to get disappointed in that we know that God is with us and he's showing us. And even when we make a mistake to, what do we call it, think or plan for a wrong reason, because of the relationship we have with him and we have already surrendered everything to him, he is able to some way, somehow still bring us back on track. And so that is what I think the pivotal role that divinity plays in our goal setting is. Like me, for example, I know the kind of relationship I have with God. I know how I speak to God, how he speaks to me, and how things unfold in my life. So just last night, I was having a conversation with my wife that, hey, look, sometimes we worry ourselves over so many things that we shouldn't even worry ourselves over. And as for me, I've come to that point where I have trusted God to the point that if there is something, all I need to do is to pray about it. And then believe that if it is God's will, it's going to happen, it's going to unfold some way, somehow. And I was giving her examples of certain mysterious things that have happened in our lives and how we have conceived that, oh, this is probably going to go in this direction. And sometimes where you did not even expect, that is where he pushes you through. Does it mean that you are not godly? Oh, you are very godly. But we are human beings. We don't know tomorrow. We have desires. We have a lot of encounters in life. And everybody is a product of their environment growing up. So if you grew up in scripture, you walk based on scripture. If you have not grown up knowing so much scripture, scripture isn't so much important in the decisions that you make. The same thing happens with our relationship with God. If you grow up having a relationship with Him and talking to Him about everything, then you will talk to Him about everything, be it big or small. Because at that point, like when I met my wife and then we started talking, and I was like, me, straightforward person. It's like, young woman, I want to get to know you and see where this ends. And she was like, okay, I hear you. Let me pray about it.
Prayer.
It's like, okay, I hear. And then I waited for a couple of days. I brought it back up again. She's like, yeah, I'm still praying about it. And I asked her a question. I said, so wait, what you're trying to tell me is that I should sit down, wait, that Rani is praying. So for 6 months, 1 year, Rani hasn't gotten the answer, and I'm also sitting down waiting for you, allowing possible suitors to pass by because of what? And sometimes you think about these things, and the reason why people do these things is because they are not very sure of the relationship they have with God. If you have a very good relationship with God, when something doesn't feel right, you will know. So in my relationship with her, I didn't take 1,000 years to do a PhD degree in knowing her before I knew that this is the kind of woman I wanted to marry. Prior to her, had I met other people? Of course. But there are people, I see you, we talk one, two, three. And just by the way you talk and the things you say, I can just discern that, no, this is not the person. And so as believers, we tend to be a lot too mythical. And it is because we do not have a very good relationship with God. If we have good relationship with God and we are confident in the relationship we have with God, knowing that He will not give us breadcrumbs, then I just present it to Him. God, this is what I want to do. I mean, this is what I've thought. This is my desire. But I know that sometimes you can have different desires because, I mean, I'm not you. I don't know everything. So this one too, I leave it in your hands. This is what I'm going to do. If it is your will, I mean, I know you are going to lead me on. But if it's not your will, stop it.
Wow.
Whichever way He stops it, He will stop it. And so I don't need to worry myself over whether He did like this is what or not. You don't need to figure it all out. Just commit it into God's hands.
Wow. That was really detailed and very profound. God richly bless you again, Doctor. And I want to ask this. Whilst you were talking, one thing I picked from it is that there is a high chance that one person might have multiple goals. And when it comes, I think what we normally say is first come, first serve. That is the rational human. Okay, first come, first serve. But then you being strategic, I know you be more likely to prioritize like some of the goals. Do we need a special skill to prioritize goals, or do we even have to? Or how do we like approach that aspect of goal setting, prioritizing goals? Because it looks like one person can have multiple goals, as we have already stated. How do we approach goals which when they are not just one?
Thank you. Very good question as well. The thing is, when we are, there is not one person who has only one goal.
Mm,
Everybody has multiple goals. Like, I can bet that when you're even looking within you, the things you can do, you will notice you can do at least two or three things.
mm,
And so the whole thing might be that, okay, then am I set out to do all these three things? And sometimes we tend to spread ourselves too broadly. And that also comes to speak to the God aspect. First of all, commit everything to God. Now, when you have committed everything to God, God has also given us something called brains.
Mm.
When we go and pray to God, God, I need a table, God will make trees. He will not give you a table. God, I want to be a billionaire. You will not sleep, and the next time you woke up, your room is filled with $100 bills. Sa 5 billion. So this is the 1 billion you asked for. No. He will give you an idea
Mm.
that can give you billions. And a lot of us, what we need to be able to do is to, first of all, doing the whole environmental audit, to know what opportunities God is presenting me with at this time. And there are some goals that when you sit down and you think about them critically, you can notice that some goals can be attained in others.
Mm.
So you have to think. The last time I think I spoke to some youth, and then the question was, is education necessary? And I was like, hell yeah, you have to. And someone was like, oh, no, 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 like a young guy arguing. No, you don't need to. Like, I mean, if you find your purpose, like the whole purpose gibberish, if you find your purpose and all that, blah, 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 I was like, okay, we thank God. If only you get an idea, you start a business and all of that. I'm like, okay, this is clearly somebody who is immature. You don't know
Mm.
what you're talking about. Now, I'll use myself as an example. When I finished my undergrad was in science. I did biology and minored in chemistry. And the whole goal is you become a doctor and blah 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 blah, all that thing. And then when I graduated, I happened to find myself in a business seminar. And I was like, shoot, this is actually what I think I'm cut out for. So
Wow.
why did I go through this whole thing? Was I successful studying science? I was. But I mean, it was one of the things like you want to prove a point that Charlie, I can do it. So
That day.
I mean, you are proving that point. But is it really what you felt like you needed to do? To me, it didn't. So when I heard that business thing, I was like, oh boy, I think I just wasted 4 years of my life. And so I started learning things about business. I started doing a lot of entrepreneurial stuff. Like, at least started about 3 businesses. So I had that experience.
Mm.
Now it got to a point, like I had a whole book full of ideas, business plans, and all of that. And my brother, who is a medical doctor, he would be like, hey, Charlie, you have great ideas. And then I got to a certain point and I went back to them that, look, this is how far I have come. As at the time I'm saying this, I have gone through a business plan competition. I've been through a business incubator and accelerator program. Like, so I felt like, Charlie, I knew what I was doing, that this is what I want to do. Then I go and speak to them. Charlie, this business thing I want to do, I have this capital. There is this new idea I want to work on. Can you guys help me push some money into it so that it will work? Then my brothers told me that we would be happy to, if only you go back to school to get a business education.
Wow.
And I was like, I mean, what else is there to learn? And I mean, just fund the thing already. I'm like, nope, go back to school. And so that was what made me go do an MBA. And then through that period, I realized that was it really about being entrepreneurial? Maybe not. So you see, sometimes you might think like, I have everything figured out,
Mm.
but you really may not have, based on your level of exposure, um, whatever thing you know so far. And so when you commit yourself to learning new experiences, doing new things, and you tend to discover yourself more. And then in doing that, you can now hone in on certain things and how to do them better. And now you can make a choice. So from that place, I made a decision. Well, I guess I think I will go for PhD because my excitement might not necessarily be in doing the businesses myself, but more of probably being a consultant. So, in knowing that, that motivates you to move ahead. Now, in all of these stages, you have a relationship with God and you believe that God is with you every step of the way. So, if there are things that are not God's will, it will not happen. But the things that are His will, it happens. And by the grace of God, I went through that, and today I'm here. Professor, you keep on making decisions, and in all of these decisions, because you have a relationship with God, you believe that He's moving and guiding you. At the same time, you also kind of learning and discovering new things, and those new things will kind of shape the trajectory of where you want to go. And so, if when it comes to the whole goal thing, goals in themselves are not static. You don't set a goal today, like I want to get here, and that is just the goal. Sometimes the goal will change, especially if you are working with God. You keep on knowing yourself day after day after day. And so as you keep on, new things keep unfolding, you go back to the goals and you revise. I think I thought this was the key thing. And let me just focus and emphasize on that. But new information, new thing comes in and you realize that no. And so I personally resolved that to kind of make things easier for my children, they are going to experience so many things.
Wow.
You will experience life in the hospital, what it means to be a nurse. You probably go and shadow somebody. Your summer breaks would be for those kinds of things. You go and shadow an engineer. You go and shadow this so that you have a taste of all these experiences. And then you can now hone in on what exactly you want to go after. And so sometimes too, now the goal is when I asked my brothers for funding for my business, they did not give me. They said, go to school. I felt like at that time I was thinking like this boy who felt, oh, it's not important to go to school. But after going, I realized, no, they actually made a lot of sense because now you can still achieve those things in what you have done. Will it help you to be more efficient or more effective if you decide to go back? When I compare myself 10 years ago to now, if I want to start a similar business, will I approach it the same way I would have approached it back then? No, because I know a lot more. And the thing too is sometimes when you set the goals, you have to look for the best route. As you pray, what is the best route in achieving this? And sometimes the best route is what you have to go for. So you might be so good at so many things, but which of them is the most important? Like maybe you have an idea. I want to start this. And then you think through, okay, based on the resources available, what would be my best point of approach? And then you have to think of the most feasible, the most realistic, and the most impactful platform to use. And I'll use Elon Musk as a person, as an example. Everybody talks about Elon Musk. When you ask people, they'll say that, oh, Elon Musk, Elon Musk. Even he cried when he started his MBA, he dropped out, blah, 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 blah. What these same people fail to realize is that the guy had a strategy. And his strategy was, he co-founded PayPal, but his interest was not in finance. So sometimes it's not necessarily what you are interested in doing. Like, what did he have to do with finance? The guy is just interested in, what do we call it, electric energy and those kinds of things. You see that the guy is an engineer. What did that have to do with finance, starting PayPal? Because he had a strategy. He started PayPal and they were able to sell PayPal for, I think, $1.9 billion, out of which he made 190 million. And he invested portions of that 190 million into his companies, Tesla and SpaceX. So sometimes you have to use some unconventional means to get to your destination. And that is what some people fail to understand. That the fact that God has said, I'm taking you to the promised land, doesn't mean that he's going to take you to Palestine. He's going to route you through the sea. And you need to learn how to walk in the sea with all the walls of water standing by the sides, and you're not scared to go through. You need to know how to survive in the wilderness. Was that part of the plan? They did not bargain for that. But sometimes those unconventional means can help you to achieve the overall goal. So you don't only think, yeah, me, I want to be a scientist, I want to be this. Sometimes it's a bit myopic. We have to think bigger. What exactly do I want to do? Now, is there a way I can achieve this more efficiently? If there is a way, use that way. Right now, as I'm here with my doctorate, I'm telling you, if I decide that I'm not going to be a professor, I'm leaving classroom, let me go and do some entrepreneurial thing. Can I do it? Hell yeah. And I'll be more credible. Now, the thing too is, if I go and do and it doesn't work out, I still have something to fall back on.
Come back to.
It is also a good platform to help me to raise enough capital to be able to do the things that I want to do. So honestly, when I look at people like Asafmame Esla, that woman is not an employee. You understand the whole concept. There are people, you just see them and you see that there's an entrepreneur. Does she have to be working at New York Life? Hell yeah. Why? Because she gets experiences, contacts, and through those things, it will be able to help her work on her business. And sometimes when we don't think in this broader picture, we kind of lose the whole thing about prioritization. It's like, my goal is to become whatever. Your goal is to become the biggest surgeon. And now you're going through medical school and you realize that, hey, Charlie, this thing, it might not work. Now what is happening? AI stuff. Better go and learn it. Because if you don't learn it, you will end up finishing the whole thing that you think now you want to become a surgeon, and you realize that, Charlie, you are far behind. So it's always important to have that whole big picture approach. Look at what is going on. What can I do and make or take advantage of this opportunity? Go after that while having your goal in mind. You want to be a musician, young boy, and so your parents say, go to college. Oh, me, I won't go to college. I want to become the next whatever, the next this person. Keep on saying that. And sometimes you forget that sometimes the opportunities those people got is not the same things you are going to be exposed to. You are not, your mother is not Bill Gates' mother to introduce you to Warren Buffett. Maybe your whole life, you don't even know anybody who even has seen $100,000 to be able to invest in you. You have to think and think of, what can I do that is going to, you don't lose track of where you want to go, but are there things that you can do? Mark Cuban knew that he wanted to own a basketball team. Did he start
Wow.
off by starting a basketball team? He didn't. The guy knew he was interested in health. Bill Gates is now no longer actively working with Microsoft. He's working on his foundation, doing vaccines and those things, which is getting insulted for. But you can see that that's what the guy is passionate about. Perhaps the guy wanted to be a doctor when I look at him. But is that the route he went? No, he saw an opportunity and he took advantage of that opportunity. And that opportunity has opened up billions of dollars he can use to do way more than he could have done if he
Wow.
had just become a surgeon at that time. So we have to think. And as we ask God, we don't have to be oblivious of the opportunities that God presents our way. Sometimes He puts certain opportunities in our hands so that we can make the most out of it. And by doing that, we can even become even better people than what we would have set out to do if we had only focused on that one thing that we thought we were doing. So, like it's a host of a lot
Wow.
of factors we need to consider in choosing what exactly we are going after.
That is definitely deep, and that is definitely profound. I see the audience really enjoying. God richly bless you for being a part of this, and God also bless you for sharing. I have so many comment running, but then because of time, I want to go straight to my last question of the day. Time flies when you're having fun, and I know most people are really learning from the comments. It's just amazing. God richly bless you again for such wisdom. In Shiraba Nana Kwesi Wusu said, I'm listening, pa, and he's clapping. Very deep. God bless you, Doctor. Yes. So now it brings me to my last question. Setting of goal, do we need accountability partners? Like, do we need someone that we are accountable to? Or you personally, it's right. If you think you are disciplined, is it okay? Okay, you know what? I'm very disciplined. I don't need anyone to be checking on me. I can do it by myself. Is it even necessary to have accountability partners? And that will be my last question of the day.
Yes, absolutely. You definitely need someone to hold
Mm,
you accountable to the things that you say you are going to do. Look, anybody who is not accountable to anybody is indisciplined.
mm,
And I don't care how godly you are, you have to be accountable to somebody. It can be your parents, it can be your wife, your spouse, it can be a friend, it can be a mentor. Because you see, we have the tendency. Now, do you also think that, oh, well, but if based on what you said, what if I go and tell Pastor Esmond that this is what I want to achieve? And then over, like with time, the focus shifts. Then what happens?
mm,
When the focus shifts, you sit down with the accountability partner and let them understand that, hey, look, this is that we have to take this detour and explain why it is necessary so that at least it will make sense. When a lot of people want to do things and get away with it, that's why we have so many vices and so many irresponsible people in society, because people just want to do what they want to do and nobody should tell them that what they are doing is right, what they are doing is wrong. Leave me alone. I'm old enough, and am I not old enough to make my own decisions? People just
mm.
don't want to be held accountable.
Accountable.
But if you are a Christian, you have to understand that you will always be accountable. In all of
Mm,
Jesus's parables, most of them, he will say that the kingdom of God is like a wealthy man traveling, and he left his this thing to his servants, and then this, that, and then when he comes, we see Jesus making these analogies all the time. And so it kind of tells us about the whole idea of being accountable. Stewardship. Stewardship means being accountable for the things that have been
mm,
entrusted in your hands. And so we always have to. Now, look, me sitting here as a professor, I'm very like you autonomous. You get to choose what textbooks you are using, how you are teaching your class. Nobody is going to say anything. But guess what? At the end of the semester, your kids are going to rate you how you did. And it's
wow.
accountability. At the end of the academic year, you have to fill out certain forms explaining the things that you did and the impact it had. And somebody is going to evaluate that and see if indeed you did a good job. So as for accountability, I know a lot of people, they get a new job. Many people cannot even keep a job because they went and somebody was trying to tell them, do this, do this. Am I a kid? So I bore. Like, people don't want to be held accountable. And it's the very reason why there is a lot of irresponsibility going around. And as much as possible, if you are going to ever achieve anything, you need to be held accountable. Somebody must be interested in what you are doing. And it must be in a way that you would be able to, you respect them, they also respect you. So it's like a two-way affair. Sometimes to some of the people, you try to make them like more or less hold you accountable, and they also take advantage of that whole situation and try to lord over you. That's a wrong person. But you need somebody who like the respect between you is mutual, in that you respect them enough to take their opinion, and they are also respectful enough of you not to abuse whatever privilege you have given to them. But whatever be the case, you need somebody to be able to go through this whole thing with you. Like myself and my wife, when this year started, we sat down and we talked through a couple of things we want to do, like our savings goal and all of that. Initially, I proposed a certain amount, and then later I reconvened. I was like, no, I think there's quite a stretch. Let's reduce it to this and then make sure that we are sticking to this. And so at the end of the day, we understand exactly what we are doing. And the point is, how are we going to keep it? Like, is it put yours in your account? No. How is that accountable? We all have to put it in a place that everybody can see, that so that we know that this is exactly what is happening with the money. Like, you just can't, oh yeah, like I'm the professor, I'm making a lot of money, so it's like, yeah, I get these privileges. No, you don't get those privileges because somebody is holding you accountable. If I cannot just get up and say that, oh, I'm going to buy something, no, I have to call my wife and tell her that, Charlie, this is what I think I want to buy, and explain with paragraphs so that she will, oh, okay, this is good. In the same way, herself, it can be a $20 thing that she thought she wants to buy for somebody. She'll come and tell me that, oh, I want to be able to do this. And
It will come
then
around this way.
we'll understand and then make that decision. So accountability is everything. It's what keeps us disciplined. If you are not held accountable in any way, then there will be no discipline. I own myself, I control everything, and that is not good. You are not setting yourself up for success. Somebody must be watching you, and it must be like somebody you don't want to. And you say that like you don't want to mess up because of the respect that you have for this person and the respect they also have for you. So you cannot do certain things, or you have to keep to your word, so that at least the respect that this person has for you, you don't lose it, so to speak. But I mean, if you are not accountable for anything, then you can set your goal and say that, oh, I want to be able to do this. And then if you don't do it, nobody will come and say anything to you, and you are free. I mean, it doesn't work like that. Even back then, from undergrad, when I started working on my businesses, I had somebody who was keeping me accountable. There was this man. I don't want to give his credentials because some people watching me might know who he is, and I don't want to reveal that. He's a very successful man, owns a lot of businesses, and I subjected myself to him. Look, this is my plan. This is what I want to do. So I want to have um, periodic meetings with you. We talk through where I've gotten to, where I'm headed. And he said, okay, sure, I'll be happy to do that. So periodically, he called me, we sit down. Yeah, so you said you're going to do this. How far with that? And then we talk through it. Where did you fail? Why did you fail? And those kinds of things. And I had another one. There were two people. So the other person was also like I think the CEO or something for one bank, and I got a chance to meet him and have a conversation with him at some time. And I was like, "Look, this is my proposition for you. I want you to hold me accountable to certain things." And the man took liking to me because of that. And I would call him, and he would try to put you in the right path. So that is very, very important, to get people that can hold you accountable, and people that you know that when they talk, you can respect it. So not like you're a mother and then your little girl, you go and say that, hey, can you hold me accountable when I go and say this? And then when you want to do, like as of my that's why I will tell you and copy that, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this, so hold me accountable. It's unrealistic, because if Kobe comes, mommy, you said you're going to do this and you didn't do it. Hey, keep quiet. Am I your mother or you are
So
my father? Like, so you don't want somebody you can easily bully, but somebody you can respect to hold you in check. Yeah.
yes, God richly bless you, Doctor. I'm actually reading the comments, and there is one question that skipped us. This is from Ishraba. It says that, do I need to identify myself before I can set a goal? And if the answer is yes, how do I even identify myself? So, Doctor, if you're gonna end with this for us, it's
Baba.
back to the
Well,
third person. This is
yeah. Look, it's not a one day thing. And back to the whole knowing yourself thing, you can only know to a certain extent. And trust me, there will be times that you can do things and you ask yourself, is that really me? Because you never thought that you could do a thing like that. So I feel like it's a continuous process. We don't know ourselves, like we don't end or figure ourselves out in one moment. And so you don't have to sit down and say that, oh, let me wait. When I have been able to figure out who in Shiraba Nana Kwesi is, then I can now say that this is my goal. So when you do that too, it will take you a very long time, because people have been married and lived for 10, 15 years. And then someone can tell the other that, hey, I never knew this how you are. So for the past 10 years, what were you doing? But that's how we are. Like, we are human beings. As we go through life, as life happens, we adapt. And so things will change. What you think it is you, this is me, it might change tomorrow. So once you can think that I'm the most comfortable human being, like, and the most confident human being in the world, me means Roche, yes, but you'll be surprised. You will get to the point where you will throw BB, because you will meet your meter. And so until you have met your meter, you think that, oh, I'm the, what do you call it? I'm the big boss. When you go to these high schools, these girls and mean girls, they will be like Mahamaga of the school, bullying everybody and all of that. Until a new student comes in, and then they realize that, hey, Obiawa and the master. So you will continuously figure out who you are. It's not going to be a one-day affair. But until then, based on what you know currently, you project, and then you also look out for what you want to become. Because sometimes when you look at yourself, you realize that you are not necessarily the best person. Like a young guy, I would always ask you, you want to go and marry somebody. Have you asked yourself, are you the kind of person that the person would want to marry? Are you, yeah, you are thinking, oh, this means self love. Whenever I hear that thing, it upsets me when someone says you have to love yourself, and especially our own brothers and sisters, especially in the African American community, they tend to say that a lot because people want to do less and get away with it. People want to do the barest minimum and get away with it. No, it's continuous improvement. So keep on knowing yourself. Keep on challenging yourself to become better. And there is nothing wrong with admitting that I can still do better. You just be deceiving yourself to think that I know it all, I have it all, and I'm okay. You'll be deceiving yourself. So you keep on learning. Life is constant learning. If you are not dead until you close your eyes, you never stop learning and you never stop discovering who you are. But as you go through that, you set the goals. When new information comes, you go back and readjust the goals to be consistent with the new information. That's how we keep on cycling through until Christ calls us home or until he comes and we are raptured. Me, I'm looking forward to that one.
That was really good. Thank you so much. And we've been blessed. I think everyone is typing that they've learned so much. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you so much for your time. This has been an awesome session. And oh, can you just bless Doctor? Just say something to him. And I can see I have learned so much. Everyone is typing, they've learned so much. So now, 2023, we will not repeat the same mistakes we made in the previous years. So thank you once again, Dr. Nana Harrison, for making yourself available to be a blessing to us. We know that we've learned a lot. I've written a lot, and this is also available. It's always on the FBN page. You can always come back to it. And whenever sometimes you get stuck on the way, you need to remind yourself. Let this be a reminder for you. So God richly bless you and thank you for being a part of FBN. Share the page. We also have a Facebook. We have so many godly programs. And this is not the only thing we have. We have so many godly programs. So keep us, follow the page, like it, so that whenever we come on live, you get the notification. So thank you so much for being a part of us. And thank you so much again to Doctor. And I know next time you meet again. But until then, have a wonderful day and God richly bless you all. Amen.
Amen.